So I want y'all to make some noise, show that Culture Con love for Crystal Renee Hazlett, Jesse Williams, and Alexys Feaster. Y'all make some noise, Culture Con.
He a freak though, man, damn. Tell him he broke Miller to the cross. He walk around like Tizo.
Culture Con, we are here.
What up? The industry can hate me. From Marlon, they mama.
We got Jesse and Alexys in the building. How y'all feeling?
Good.
You feel good.
And I feel air. I brought my fan because I was not, yesterday I was sweating, okay? So I brought my fan, but I hear the AC is on right now. So I appreciate it. How y'all feeling today? Y'all, it was so hot.
Good.
I came prepared, but we're good. I can turn this off. All right.
This is
so,
beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? We are taking up space.
This
That is
is
the theme
beautiful.
for this year. How y'all feeling? Day 2. Y'all good? Y'all showed up. We are here to discuss hoops, hopes, and dreams with Jesse Williams and Alexys Feaster. I'm so excited to be sitting down. I actually got a sneak peek last night. So good. I appreciate the work that both of you have done.
Thank you.
Yes. What was the initial inspiration behind Hoops, Hopes, and Dreams? And how did you know this story needed to be told now?
Well, and also, well, first of all, peace, everybody. Good afternoon. It's really beautiful to be here with you. Shout out to Culture Con for even creating a space for us to be here together in person and spend real time with real people and look them in the face and actually be together, not just online. So I appreciate that. Our incredible director, Glenn Kino, who's not with us here today, but did an amazing job directing this film, and with our production company. And the idea was twofold. Untold stories. There's a lot of, we get so little access to our own history and all the schooling and brainwashing that we consume. And when we do, sometimes it's truncated. It's just the poster. It's just the I had a dream speech. And there's so many more stories to be told. So this was an opportunity for us to find an untold, aspect to a story and a person and a fellowship and take him down off the wall, Dr. King, as this black and white poster, and talk about the real man, the real human being, and how he fellowshipped with young people and used basketball as a device. He would just show up to rec centers and gyms in Georgia and dress shoes and a suit and just be like, check ball, and just hoop with young people and spend real time with them. And that was a really cool story to tell and like a launch pad. But also another thing was to archive these stories. We know there is a rampant policy of anti-blackness in this country and stripping away, hiding, and burying our stories and lying about them. So when you have access to them, grab them, hold them, make them real, show them, display them so everybody has evidence and can bear witness to them. I think part of that is our responsibility. So those were some of the early seeds that had us trying to find a great way in.
I love that. Alexys?
Yeah, I mean, everything Jesse said. And then also, I think, there's an attack on our truth right now. How many people feel like they're not hearing the truth? Just raise a hand, show of hands. So we know we're not hearing the true stories. And so I think there's a part of, when you talk about our moment being now, it has to be now. If we're not combating the falsities and the lies about our people and our heroes, then what are we doing? And I think that, to Jesse's point, we have a company called Visibility Media, and we had the opportunity to get access to those stories, but so does everyone in this room. Everyone has a story about their own family, their own ancestors, or some story that someone's told you. And so I think that now is the time more than ever to use our voices to do that.
Fun fact, I actually worked on Capitol Hill during then Senator Obama's first campaign for president. Yes, and I was happy to see my dear friend Reggie Love in your documentary.
That's my guy.
True story, right out of college, I worked for the U.S. Senate, and when President Obama was running for his first campaign, Reggie came to my office and said, hey, Crystal, we have a few more paid positions on the campaign if you want to come. My parents were like, you just got a job there. Don't quit your job to go work on the campaign. But then he won. They were like, we will never tell you what you can't do. So I was really happy to see that he was a part of it. How were the interview subjects selected?
I just want to give a little context because y'all haven't seen it yet. We're excited for you to see it. But as I said, this follows, tells stories about Dr. King connecting and developing his campaign with the youth in Georgia and around the South and upward from that, and how that becomes kind of mirrored in the Obama campaign. If y'all remember, you would see Obama hooping, hit a shot on the campaign. It kind of worked. It kind of made us feel like he was one of us for some people. It was just a politician doing a real thing that we know people do. And it was a grounding mechanism and just kind of planted him as not just some lofty figure with a funny name, as he liked to say. And so we talk about basketball as a through line to bring communities together and to connect politicians and movement leaders to the people that they desire to serve. And we use illustration. You get to see a Dr. King hooping, which is kind of funny. And we have great interview subjects. So, to your question, it was hard because you have a range of 50 years of people who have some opinions or bore witness to some part of either Dr. King and or Obama's campaigns, their humanity, their desires, their wants, their movements. So we had to narrow it down. This is a short film. This attempted to become a feature film so many times because we have so much material, there's so many stories to tell, and there's so many untold stories. So I think a part of it was getting the people we want, and so many people were so generous and excited to be able to participate. We got really lucky, and also having some restraint.
And I'll just add, I love your Reggie Love story because I had a similar story.
Really?
I ran President Obama's Athlete and Celebrity Strategy, and I was recruited in when I was, had this great job in LA, had a recording studio, Nas is recording, Snoop, everybody. And then I get the phone call to go work for President Obama for the pay cut that you're referring to. So I just wanted to bond over that kindred spirit right there. But I had to call Reggie Love, to your point. Like, during that time, Reggie Love was Obama's body man. He was the one who got him in the gym. He's the one who was making his playlists. Michael Strautmanis was also right there with them, shooting in the gym. And those are my colleagues, my former colleagues. We also have Jerry West's last interview. For those who don't know, Jerry West is the NBA logo. And his very last interview is with us. Which of course is amazing and archival for his family to have that. And then, the star of the show is Ambassador Andrew Young, and that's how our director, Glenn Kino, even got the stories, because he heard Ambassador Young talk about hooping, and he tells the story of jumping over tables to go get him and say, you have to tell this story with us. And then, we can't leave out Jamel Hill and her moderating. I think it's important to always include a woman's voice in these conversations, and Jamel, brought the whole story together beautifully.
Yeah, you guys did a wonderful job at doing that. With such diverse people and perspectives on the producing team, how did collaboration shape the final project?
Producers, it's kind of a word that could have many meanings.
Yes.
Or no meaning. And in this case, we had a lot of wonderful storytellers involved that we would just get on the Zoom or kick it in the studio and workshop ideas, and best ideas win. So it was a pretty harmonious dynamic. We already like and love and respect each other, so sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes producers are coming from different teams and have different agendas, and that can be a little bit less cohesive. But in this case, we wanted to figure out something that it's history. So, and as somebody who was a former history teacher, I understand history can become flat or boring. How do we give it texture? How do we give it color? How do we inject it with pace and energy? So that was kind of something that we had to honor to try to keep the ball in the air.
In doing that, you wove in animation. Whose idea was that?
Probably Glenn.
That's Glenn's idea. And the animator is this guy named Krill. Krill just won an award, I think, of Variety magazine for the animation in our film. But Glenn's vision to do the animation in a different way, it's just a testament to how he looks at telling stories. We use animation in a format that Krill and Glenn together worked on, and it's something that people always comment on because it makes it real. Now, granted, people think we're lying and that Dr. King is not hooping. We're like, no, he really did that. He really crossed him over and did a layup, and I know it sounds crazy, but I think they portrayed it really well.
No, for sure. A lot of people think that when it comes to filmmaking, it's just an easy process. Was there any roadblocks or anything that you guys ran into that may have been a little hard to get over?
I think we tried hard to not get in our own way, being worried about the market. Is there a market for this? We're trying to satisfy this invisible, opaque market, this thing that it's not tangible, you can't touch it or feel it. It's a short film with interviews and animation about Black history, which is American history, none of these things sound like money, right? Like, so how do we not get clouded and distracted by that and just tell the best story that we can? And in the authenticity of storytelling, we hope that that will kind of forge a pathway forward. So it was trying to stay out of our own way, but also keep in mind that we need to be unique. And I think the animation was a really key touch for that. And now that we're talking about it, I think about how often now I start to see on Instagram or whatever, people telling a great story, a hip-hop story about Rick James or Prince, and then there's some kind of crude animation, just like bringing it to life. And it just helps you experience that story. I was just listening to some story Cameron or Fat Joe was telling, and somebody just animated it, or Mr. Commodore did a skit about meeting Lawrence Fishburne at the Cam meeting Lawrence Fishburne. Like, just seeing it played out, it brings it off the page. Yeah.
That's so true. This was Michael Latt's last project before his tragic death. As an activist and founder of Lead with Love, whose mission was to use art to foster love, hope, and healing, he was a passionate social activist. How can you talk about honoring Michael's legacy and how this film's contributions to his ethos that reflected in this film?
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned challenge, the first thing I thought was, how do you finish a film, you know, with the person who brought me to the project and brought the whole team together was our point guard, without him there. And so I'm sure someone in this room knows Michael Latt because he just was such a profound, amazing person. And he was tragically murdered the day after Thanksgiving. And naturally, we had to stop even talking about the project. And it was really, you know, to your point about the team and Glenn and really Michael's family too, that says this was his first and last film, we have to continue. And yeah, I don't want to get emotional, but Michael is, we are keeping his legacy alive. I think that's the whole point, is he led with love, and he's got a foundation, Lead with Love, and a lot of the things that we do immediately after the film, and you know, for our future, like for the future of my life, and I'm sure for Jesse's life, and for Glenn and everyone involved, is to spread that message. Even the platform Anscape, who bought our film, to watch how that whole team has, you know, you see them wearing the Lead with Love pins, like literally embodying Michael's legacy and ensuring that his work and his value of bringing us all together the way that he did for all of his projects will never be lost. So thank you for asking that question.
Yes, absolutely. We talked about weaving in animation. How did the team decide on the film's creative style, particularly surrounding the inclusion of animation?
How did we decide our creative style? I think we had to, we have a fair amount of sit-down interviews merged with moving imagery, and you want to try to keep a balance there and also kind of find your color palette. If anybody, you know, we have a lot of content creators here, photographers, and people that understand trying to form a frame that is compelling and that everything in that frame is part of the storytelling process. So we had to kind of early on just simplify and agree upon a through line visually that would connect this shot of you sitting in a chair expressing yourself to some black and white archival footage, to a news clipping, to some animation. What is just kind of going back, having a home base of what is our color scheme, what is our frame size and rate. So just kind of having a basic like checklist to honor. So it was just being disciplined, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think you also see the film begins with a young man walking on a basketball court. That is Afshin Shahidi, Yara Shahidi's little brother, who Afshin is a DP on the film. And so we have him in the beginning. And then if you see the end of the film, it's a little girl shooting a shot. And that's very intentional, right? Is to show that this isn't just a man's game. This is everybody's game. And so the little girl who played that role is our other business partner, Toa Dunn, his daughter. There's a couple of parts where you'll see imagery of, you know, the black and white footage that Jesse's talking about projected on the back of backboards, basketball backboards. Well, that's Glenn Kino, that's our director, who made the ship in front of the Intuit Dome and went out there to shoot that imagery there. So much intentionality to weave in the game and weave in people that we love. And shameless plug at the very end, there's a little girl holding a basketball, and that's my niece who recently passed away of cancer at 8 years old. And so just to be able to bring in the family element from all of our team just kind of shows how we move at visibility and how we go into storytelling. It's an inclusive way to pay homage to people who are here and people we've lost.
I am a huge basketball fan. It's my favorite pastime with my father, like growing up, watching MJ and Magic and Larry Johnson. Like, I was aging myself, but it was my favorite thing to do with my father is watching basketball, and to this day, still an avid fan. So to a lot of us, basketball is entertainment, but this film highlights its role as a tool for empowerment. Why do you think that the game has such a unique influence in this way?
There is a way, there is a language, I think, on the court. This is true for many sports, but in football, one team has the ball for a prolonged period of time. Baseball, the offense never touches the ball. It's a slower game. Basketball is a constant exchange, a constant reciprocity, a constant exchange of styles and pushback and collisions and all these things. And I think that you can't really talk about any form of like Black American expression without the contextual elements and the fence that is around us at all times. And one of the things that your question makes me think about is like there are certain times since the advent of the game where that sport is all we had. And the level of kind of alchemy and industriousness we had to do to just create a space that we could be together and it would be legal. And I think about something that I've said before, which is that I think that we're like used to talking about, we know that like Black people are better at sports or Black people are better at basketball and football. It's kind of a joke. But I would say that it's not that simple. We're excellent at everything. Basketball is just the only thing they couldn't stop us from doing by keeping us out of schools, keeping us out of neighborhoods, keeping us out of hospitals. They couldn't legislate it away from us. You can take a ball and hoop anywhere. You can express yourself and sing a song anywhere. That's why we dominate the arts, because they couldn't police the arts and keep us away from it. We get one generation of access and we're the CEO of Amex or we're running a country. Nobody played tennis, and then two girls from Compton decided to play tennis, and they're the best that have ever touched a racket. Nobody play golf. Black people don't play no golf. And then one guy was like, you know what, let me try this. Best that has ever touched on the planet. So it's just access. And I think that sports were forced to be that form of expression for us. It's like, okay, you choke something off, and there's nowhere for it to go. All right, we'll go here. And we'll turn that into an entire ecosystem to provide for our families and get robbed, get totally exploited in the process, but also find ways to provide and create generational wealth. So, yeah, basketball means a lot. I'm from Chicago. Basketball means a lot to us. But and it's not just a game, and it is not a non-cerebral game. I think the last thing I'll say about this is because things that Black folks are good at, dominant culture tries to strip the thought out of it. You think about the way you talk about Black athletes. Oh, what a horse, what a beast, what a great natural ability. But if it's a white player, what a high IQ, what a great sports IQ, what great decision making, right? It's always a brain. Whereas AI coming down the court and doing an incredible move, putting it behind his back, switching directions and putting it off the glass, that is not a physical act only. The amount of math this person has to do in geometry and understanding of spatial awareness in his head in this millisecond, and see everybody else on the court and then do it, that is entirely cerebral. And we have to stand on that. We have to not let the momentum of trying to put us into our little area, let us wake up in that little area. We own all of it. We have to take up that space and analyze it. We're worth analyzing. What we do and create is worth analysis. It's worth archiving. It's worth making a little film about. It's worth interviewing your grandparents about. By the way, interview your grandparents. Get a camera,
Please.
Sit there, interview the elders in your life. It's really important, because otherwise they're gonna tell you enjoyed all of it. Anyway, I don't even know what the question was, but I wanted to share that.
You answered it very well and dropped some gems along the way.
What he said. I'm all what he said.
So, Alexys,
Sorry about that.
That was good. That was
so good. And
I'm just
thank you
happy to
guys
be
so
here,
much.
you know?
Alexys, how do you see basketball's role in civil rights movement reflected today in our social efforts for social justice?
I mean, I feel like, I worked for the NBA for a really long time, and I lived in the bubble when George Floyd was murdered. It was the most devastating experience for NBA players. Now, on the outside, it looked cool. You guys are like, oh, they're playing basketball and keeping the world entertained. You know, these grown men were crying on my shoulder. They were disgusted by the fact that they had to play basketball to entertain the rest of the world to get a paycheck. They were disgusted that they couldn't be with their families, they couldn't be with their children during a part of racial strife that's all over the TV in the middle of a pandemic, but watching someone literally get stepped on his neck and get murdered. So I have a different relatability to that, witnessing the grief that existed in that entire process, living there for 3 months, literally sequestered. If you left, you did not get paid. So I've got a lot of memories and thoughts around what that looks like to put that on the back and then have it look like to society like it was something that we're doing good for the world. We all do know that if you think back to the very beginning of times when it comes to social justice and racial reckoning, and it has always been the athlete from Muhammad Ali to Dr. J to whomever that is standing up in those different spaces. I think because basketball players aren't wearing helmets, they just are looked upon, they have a more visibility for people to think they should stand up and say something. I'm from Southeast DC, where my mayor was Marion Barry. We voted him back. Hey, DC, hey. So, you know, we let our people make mistakes and bring them back. But I do think that the game has just naturally lended itself to a place where people kind of stand up. Do I think it's the responsibility? Do I think that, I like what Rihanna said. She said, I didn't sign up to be a role model. I don't think that someone has to do that. But I think that as people of color who've been oppressed for our whole lives, I do think that it is a duty to want to feel the fire, to want to say something when there's injustice that's happening. And I think we've just been lucky enough to have basketball players step up. They also have guaranteed money. Again, they're able to take risks that football players can't take. And so I'm not lost on the fact that NBA players making, you know, a quarter of a billion dollars, $250 million a year on guaranteed contracts, and then you still have to pay me out if I say something. I'm like, let me say some shit. Like, hold up, I'm still getting this check. I will say something about what's happening in society. So I do think that basketball players have the ability to do that. But then also, let's talk about the WNBA. Like, it literally all started with the women, as you all know. And so the men followed suit of the women, and the women had to call the men and ask for that support. I was there for all of that as well. So I know that there's a whole lane there, and I could talk about this all day because this is my ministry, but I do think there's a big role to play there.
Yes, I love that. Now, I hear that you and the team at Anscape have some exciting news about when and where everyone here can see this film. Can you guys share that with us?
Why, yes. Anscape, where's Anscape? Okay, back there, I see Anscape in the back of the room. But we're really excited that our film, Hoops, Hopes, and Dreams, will be premiering January 19th. Does anybody know the date of January 19th?
MLK
Day. So we're so excited that January 19th is our premiere day on Hulu, and then on Hulu on Disney+. And we are so excited for everyone to get a chance to witness this film, to show your kids it's a family film. It's something that is going to live on, and something that you all hopefully remember being able to hear us talk about it here on stage. It's a legacy film, and we're really excited for it to be on Anscape and on Hulu.
And I would just add to that, about a year ago, a few people had an idea, talked about it, called in some favors, didn't have a lot of money, asked for some interviews, asked somebody to help draw some pictures, and put together a little film, and submitted it to some festivals, got into one of them, had a premiere, pounded the pavement, spread the word, and were able to get it supported by a major organization, and gonna get a premiere on Hulu on Dr. King's birthday. I say that to say, as a motivation and inspiration for everybody out there that is making, just make. Just do and fail and put that away and try the next thing and just keep going and keep scrapping and get those hours in, because I want this to be a testament to it's all ahead of you.
And it definitely will be. You guys are absolutely going to enjoy this film. Jesse, I just want to thank you personally for using your voice to pour into us as a community, using your gifts to make sure that our stories are told. Alexys, everything you're doing with Kinship, thank you for how you're pouring into creatives. I love you both. Make sure, go ahead and mark your calendars, put your phones out.
January 19th.
January 19th. You guys have to watch this film. It is so dynamic. Put your hands together for Alexys and Jesse.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all. I just want to say thank you to CultureCon for creating a space that we can all come together under one roof and be together, fellowship, lift each other up, hear each other's stories, do all this. This takes a lot of work and a lot of risk and a lot of support from sponsors, et cetera. But Amani and the whole team,
Yes,
it's a big deal. So we
I just
appreciate
got to
it.
shout out Amani, too. Where's my girl
Yes.
at? I know she's walking around here somewhere. We love you, Amani.
We love you, Amani. At CultureCon, thank you guys so much. And to all of you, thank you guys for sitting in on this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for
Enjoy
being
the
here.
rest of your Sunday.
Love.
Monster on the beat, Debo, any rap. He a free throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs. Tell him free, bro, Nella to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni? Trying to see Compton, they in the street.